Welcome, everyone. I'm Angelo Robles of Family Office Association. Yes, I know I've covered mitigating risk quite a bit for a single family office because, in my opinion, most of the time, that's going to be the number one goal of the family and the family office. So you really have to look at it as, what is the likelihood of a risk, something happening to the family, but what impact will it have? If the impact is relatively modest, it may not need a lot of time and resources dedicated to it. If the potential is grave of really, really bad, but the chances are low, that actually needs more attention. That's what you should be concerned about as a family member of a prominent family or the executive managing the family office. The family is already rich. They want to stay rich for generations, I would assume, unless they have another goal. Henceforth, mitigating and managing risk, as I've said many times before, is usually going to be the number one goal of a family office. And what type of risks are there? Oh, you have a lot to work on because there's a hell of a lot of risk. And some of them are wicked problem. You don't really see them coming. But there's still preparation and steps that you could take to help address them. So one of the risks is litigation risk, and that could arise from some business owners, even of substantial privately held businesses, with what we're going through now, potentially with the coronavirus or with employees. There's lots that could happen. There could be divorce in the family without having the proper structure in terms of ownership of assets or agreements in place there. There's confiscation risk. Well, what do you mean confiscation? Just taking from me? Well, that's kind of what the government does through taxation, but sometimes we could argue over taxation. And with new laws being passed, with a greater percentage of resources going in different directions, that may be an additional burden of confiscation through taxation relative for families of great wealth. And in some countries, you could potentially see, via confiscation, effectively the use of force. There could be chaos that is going on. The virus that we're going through now is probably more of a wicked problem risk. Who saw this coming and who thought it would be like this? Now imagine it spreads like it's spreading, but was far deadlier, like the Ebola virus. That would be incredibly chaotic. We may not have a world left, and henceforth mitigating and managing risk may matter very, very little. The collapse of the financial markets. Well, suppose you have your money in various public entities through brokerages and banks. What happens if that kind of starts to fall apart? Do you need diversity in custodians and banking partners? Do you need safety deposit boxes in different locations with different resources? Should you hedge with some level of cryptocurrencies and gold? What kind of cash should you have on hand? What kind of currencies? Where would that be located? Should you own things that have lasting value, potentially art? Should you own things that could be titled, which could be art, but also land, farmland? If that gets taken from you, maybe in the future that could be repatriated back. Should you own income-producing businesses? Should you be more active in businesses that are less likely to be affected by recessions? We all need food, so potentially farmland could be something that could be very intriguing. And what are steps that you could help to mitigate all these risks that I'm throwing at you, probably scaring many of you to death? There's potential legal structures, from corporate entities to offshore trust and work that you could do from your legal entities there, foundations, and asset protection strategies, including captive insurers and other structures that I'm sure there's many fine trust and estate planning attorneys that have a subspecialty in asset protection that could be helpful to help mitigate risk. Insurance could also provide some solutions to help mitigate risk as well. Besides just having E&O and D&O and a general liability umbrella policy, and do you really have enough? There's other forms of insurance that could be highly valuable to you as well. You know, I always say to the family, do you really know what you own and how to access it. And this is sometimes the challenge with having a single family office generationally for a family, is they kind of don't know how to do some things on their own. It's like owning an amazing boat, but you need a captain and a whole crew to be able to use it. You should be able to have some basic understanding of how to enjoy things, or in that example, on your own. So henceforth, know what you own, know how you own it, how you could access it, and could you get by if something happens with a issue with a key loss in the family office, a succession issue. It could be any one of a variety of topics that could happen. Don't have just one person, especially a non-family member, holding the keys to the kingdom, so to speak. That's potentially, there's lots that could go wrong there. Again, mitigating risk is probably one of the favorite subjects that we like to talk about. This is just skimming the surface. At Family Office Association, we're a membership organization dedicated to these type of families and their family offices, and help provide them resources that they need to help mitigate their risks, to help understand investment opportunities, legacy transition, transition from business to a single family office, and collectively, not just myself and with experts, but their peers. And that's where it really becomes very, very intriguing. So there's no easy solution to really any of this. It's being involved as a family member and a single family office executive, understanding the big picture, being adaptive in your leadership, especially with what's going on now, and looking to hedge and mitigate risk. Again, could we potentially cover everything? Probably not. But you want to really help mitigate the risk that may be low likelihood, but could be very devastating should they happen. Everyone, I'm Angelo at Family Office Association.